You need to grasp a fundamental truth. Life is not always fair, but it is brutally honest in its outcomes. And those who expend their entire energy manipulating, deceiving, and attempting to take advantage of others rarely anticipate the full measure of the consequences. You, however, stepped into the arena with eyes wide open, armed not with fury, but with patience, clarity, and an impeccable strategy. While they operated under the assumption that they were the master players, the ones pulling the hidden strings, you quietly studied them. You observed their predictable patterns, noted their precise weaknesses, and learned exactly how to turn their own tactics back upon them. They were convinced they were dealing with someone naive, pliable, and easy to fool. They were wrong. You were calculating, deliberate, and profoundly aware. And now, the game has flipped. Now, they are the ones feeling the disorienting weight of their own short-sighted schemes. Consider this. People who routinely try to exploit others often believe the universe somehow bends in their favor. They are convinced that cunning and subtle cruelty are sufficient tools for advancement. They fatally misread your composure for complacency, your patience for ignorance, and your silence for weakness. They underestimate the depth of the human mind, and they especially underestimated yours. You moved quietly, almost invisibly, like a storm gathering in silence. Every misstep they made, every lie they spun, every manipulation they thought would succeed became a crucial tool in your hands. Their own arrogance, their own hubris, became the perfect mechanism of their own undoing. This is not coincidence. This is not sheer luck. This is the mastery of self and circumstance. When they finally awaken and realize the tables have turned, it isn't just a shock, it is a moment of raw, clarifying truth. They feel a sense of profound disorientation, the sting of being utterly outmaneuvered. They now see how they were blinded by their ego to the real game that was being played. You comprehend something they never will. Life rewards strategy, patience, and intelligent awareness. The satisfaction of seeing someone experience the direct consequences of their own manipulations is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is the universe, in its undeniable honesty, reflecting their actions back at them. You did not need to react impulsively. You did not need to meet their deception with desperation or rage. You stayed centered, calm, and deliberate. Every move you made was calculated and precise. You studied human ambition, human fear, and the mechanisms of deceit. And you used this knowledge to your advantage. The person who truly understands themselves, their innate abilities, and the controlling forces around them will never be caught off guard by the weak attempts of those who act without insight. They are not simply losing a game. They are losing a lesson they desperately needed to learn. When someone realizes they have been outsmarted, the feelings they experience are a mixture of humiliation, frustration, and exposed ego. They feel manipulated because they were, but not by malice. They were outplayed by someone who meticulously observed them, deeply understood their flaws, and unequivocally refused to be fooled. They are forced to face their own mistakes, their own arrogance, and their own inability to anticipate the most obvious consequences. This confrontation with reality is uncomfortable, yes, but it is absolutely necessary. People rarely learn through comfort. They learn through a direct clash with reality. You did not cause their suffering. They caused it by assuming the world owed them blind compliance. Your true strength lies in the ability to act decisively, ethically, and intelligently in situations where others operate only on impulse and ego. You flipped the game not out of a desire for petty revenge, but because you absolutely refuse to be a victim of circumstance. In doing so, you created a scenario where truth and justice align perfectly with strategy. That alignment is potent and undeniable. It reminds everyone, and especially reminds you, that patience, intelligence, and integrity are exponentially more powerful than rage. Manipulation or deceit, understanding the motives, weaknesses, and patterns of those who try to manipulate you is not just a defensive skill. It is a profound form of power. The manipulator assumes their tactics are clever and invisible, but your awareness disrupts the very foundation of their strategy. Awareness allows you to move quietly, almost invisibly. You can anticipate their next move and adjust your actions accordingly. By observing patterns and motives, you position yourself so that the manipulator's own tactics unravel without overt conflict. You turn the tables not with force, but with insight. This clarity also allows you to cultivate patience. Understanding requires time, attention, and a calm mind. The manipulator acts impulsively, seeking immediate advantage. But you move differently. You are willing to wait to see the full scope of their plan. That patience holds a quiet strength, a certainty that comes from knowing you will have all the information necessary to act decisively. When the moment comes, you stop reacting with blind emotion or frustration. Instead, you respond with precision. You meet deception with insight. You counter impulsivity with strategy. Your stability comes from the knowledge that God guides the observant mind, and that the discomfort they feel is a direct reflection of their own moral failures and miscalculations dot as they sit there, confused and unsettled, feeling the disorienting weight of their own misjudgment. You walk forward with clarity and confidence. You carry the knowledge that self-awareness, patience, and strategy are the ultimate forms of power. You do not need to gloat because the universe has already delivered the lesson. The world inevitably rewards competence and awareness. You flip the game because you refuse to be dominated, refuse to be played, and refuse to allow deceit to define your reality. You embody the potent combination of intelligence meeting opportunity. They feel used. They feel outsmarted. And in that reflection, you see clearly who they are, who you are, and what it means to act with purpose. You turn arrogance into opportunity, deception into insight, and chaos into evidence of your own strategic mastery. You stand tall in your new reality, and that is not just winning. It is transcending the petty games of the world, seeing the patterns, and acting with decisive intelligence. You are the one who understood the rules when they thought they had written them. You are the one who acted when they were blinded by ego. And now, you simply move forward aware, capable, and unstoppable. This is the essence of true power. Not the loud display of force, not the impulsive, reactionary strike, but the quiet, deliberate mastery of awareness. When you deeply understand motives, instinctively recognize patterns, and accurately anticipate behavior, you possess a strategic force that no manipulation can effectively overcome. You have flipped the entire game, and they genuinely never saw it coming. They assumed they were securely in control, but their own predictable actions have revealed the definitive truth. The real power belonged to the one who watched, learned, and acted with wisdom. And that power is undeniably yours. Patience is not merely passive waiting. It is a deliberate and powerful form of strategy. In a world driven by ego, impulse, and instant gratification, those who rush tend to make mistakes, overextend their position, and fatally reveal their weaknesses. The person who manipulates relies on this principle. They act quickly, assuming momentum and urgency will grant them the upper hand. But patience flips that principle entirely. When you act with patience, you are never passive. You are actively observing, calculating, and precisely preparing for the moment when your action will have its maximum, inevitable impact. You are converting time itself into advantage. The power of timing, patience, is the ability to wait for the perfect moment the moment. When the manipulator's own arrogance creates the clearest opening, Real power comes from resisting the internal pressure to act prematurely. By exercising patience, you allow events to unfold naturally, revealing weaknesses and contradictions that the manipulator never factored into their plan. Sharpen perception when you are willing to wait and observe. You notice critical subtleties that others overlook, the insecurity behind their outward confidence, the contradiction in their stories, and the hidden motives driving their actions. This patience ensures that when the decisive moment arrives, you possess a comprehensive understanding of every variable. Emotional immunity. Manipulators thrive on provoking reactions: anger, fear, frustration. When you exercise patience, you maintain composure and deny them this crucial leverage. You refuse to be drawn into their emotional games. Impulsivity is their weapon. Patience turns it against them. Observation is far more than simply noticing what is happening. It is a deliberate, disciplined process of seeing clearly, understanding deeply, and interpreting accurately. The manipulator thrives on the assumption that you will follow the predictable, emotional path they set. Observation flips this on its head when you cultivate the ability to watch carefully, to notice patterns, and to analyze behavior. You equip yourself with an insight that is almost impossible to counter. You move from reacting to anticipating and predicting. Seeing motive and strategy, manipulators rarely act randomly. Every move has a precise purpose. By watching closely, you can discern the underlying intention behind their behavior and the true strategy behind their words. You are no longer at the mercy of their schemes because you can see the threads they are weaving and choose whether to engage, redirect, or counteract them. Observation transforms apparent chaos into a map of opportunity, attention to detail, small gestures, subtle inflections, and repeated behaviors reveal more than words ever could. Contradictions expose truth, and inconsistencies create crucial openings. By being attentive, you gather the intelligence necessary to make informed decisions. This is not speculation. It is disciplined, empirical analysis. Developing foresight. When you consistently monitor behavior and recognize patterns, you start to see beyond the immediate moment. You can predict the trajectory of their actions, the likely consequences of their strategies, and the potential openings that will inevitably arise. This foresight allows you to act before others are even aware of the opportunity, turning anticipation into quiet control. In essence, patience is not passive. It is the backbone of strategic mastery. It allows you to maintain control over yourself, over the situation, and over those who attempt to manipulate you. It provides the clarity to see through deception, the insight to recognize opportunity, and the perfect timing to act decisively. Those who rush act out of fear or ego. Those who exercise patience act out of understanding and wisdom. They are the ones who ultimately flip the game, leaving the manipulator bewildered, exposed, and outsmarted. You do not win by deceit or impulse. You win because you exercise mastery over yourself and over the dynamics around you. That powerful, quiet force is yours to command. You now understand that true power is found in the intersection of patience and observation. To complete this circle of mastery, would you like to explore how to communicate your new boundaries when necessary, without compromising your strategic silence? This is the profound essence of power, not the loud display of force, not the impulsive strike, but the quiet, deliberate mastery of awareness. You now understand that you possess a force no manipulation can overcome. You flipped the whole game, and they never saw it coming because they assumed they were in control. The truth, however, is that the real power belonged to the one who watched, learned, and acted with wisdom. And that power is yours. Consequences are the quiet, impartial enforcers of truth. They arrive inevitably. even when people exhaust their energy attempting to mask or evade responsibility. Those who manipulate and exploit fundamentally believe they can avoid repercussions. They assume the world will bend to their schemes. But life is precise in its justice. Actions, whether constructive or destructive, carry weight. And the universe responds with consequences, often with a clarity that human judgment cannot match. Understanding this principle allows you to act with supreme confidence, knowing that those who seek to harm you will ultimately confront the results of their own behavior. Self-generated reckoning, manipulators are driven by ego, fear, and a desire for short-term gain. They fail to anticipate the long-term emotional and relational cost of their actions. When you maintain your awareness and act strategically, you don't need to force retribution or engage in vindictive acts. The natural course of events, fueled by their own choices, brings the reckoning to them. Their suffering is essentially self-generated. The mirror effect, consequences function as mirrors. When someone tries to deceive or betray, those exact behaviors become the mechanism of their own undoing. They may attempt to deny their mistakes, but the effects of their actions become undeniably visible to all who are aware. The manipulator is forced into a disorienting confrontation with reality. Empowering restraint. This understanding is what empowers your restraint. You don't need to act out of anger or revenge because consequences are a force. That enforces natural justice. By exercising patience and strategic intelligence, you allow the natural unfolding of events to bring the manipulator to a point of reckoning. Their own behavior sets the stage for their exposure. Observation and patience foster a psychological dominance that quietly unbalances those who thrive on chaos. The clarity of purpose. By watching carefully, you maintain focus on your core goals, refusing to be drawn into distractions or emotional traps. You understand which battles are worth engaging and how to assert control over the dynamics around you. This clarity, born of careful observation, ensures that your actions are not only ethical but highly effective. The resilience factor. Observing the natural outcomes of manipulative behavior reinforces the idea that the world is not arbitrary. Justice and accountability are embedded in the unfolding of events. This understanding allows you to maintain composure and clarity even when facing deception. You are not at the mercy of manipulation. You are an active participant in a predictable system where cause and effect are reliable. The final shift, the manipulator relies on control, intimidation, and deception. You rely on insight, strategy, and the predictable patterns of cause and effect. By allowing consequences to work in your favor, you guide the outcome through positioning and awareness. The manipulator's sense of control collapses because their own actions set the stage for their downfall. In essence, observation is an active form of mastery. It allows you to see what others miss, anticipate what others cannot, and respond in ways that turn the game entirely in your favor. You transform potential vulnerability into undeniable strength. The quiet mastery of life is this: aligning yourself with truth, patience, and strategy, while allowing the impartial laws of consequence to reveal the reality that manipulative individuals cannot escape. They feel used, outsmarted, and they recognize often too late that the game has been decisively flipped. This brings us to the final, most essential component of your strategic power: integrity. Integrity is far more than just a moral principle. It is a profound form of power, a framework that guides every thought, action, and decision with unyielding clarity and consistency. In a world where manipulation and self-interest dominate so many interactions, the person who maintains integrity stands apart. This power is enduring, transformative, and ultimately undeniable. Strategic advantage through consistent maniples operate under the assumption that ethical constraints are weaknesses, that honesty will slow you down or make you predictable. Integrity flips this assumption, eliminating confusion by acting in accordance with clear principles. You eliminate the cognitive load of constant second-guessing and the confusion of reactive behavior, where manipulators struggle with conflicting motives and hidden agendas. Your integrity allows you to act decisively, predictably, and with moral clarity. Decisive action, your ethical strength, is inseparable from your strategic advantage. Integrity ensures that every move you make reflects your deepest purpose and intelligence. You are not burdened by the anxiety or fear of exposure because your actions are consistent, allowing you to focus all your energy on strategic foresight rather than defensive cover-ups. Psychological resilience and immunity. Integrity cultivates psychological resilience. When you align your actions with your values, you do not need to rely on deception to maintain control. The unshakable foundation. You are not burdened by guilt or fear of exposure. This internal consistency allows you to remain calm and composed, even when faced with aggressive provocation. Manipulators thrive on creating confusion and exploiting weakness. Integrity neutralizes these tactics because it roots your behavior in certainty and disciplined judgment. You are not easily destabilized because your foundation is unshakable, shaping perception. When you maintain integrity, you signal a kind of transparency that is profoundly disarming. Manipulators struggle to understand your motives because you do not operate from duplicity. You are predictable in your principles, but unpredictable in their application or combination. They find impossible to counter. This creates psychological leverage. Long-term victory and trust. Short-term wins achieved through manipulation are always fragile and unstable. Integrity, on the other hand, ensures sustainable, long-term power. Compounding consistency. Integrity creates a consistency that compounds over time. It ensures that your decisions contribute to a cumulative advantage, and your credibility remains intact. In complex interactions, this quality allows you to maintain influence without coercion. Magnified impact. When the game is flipped, your victory is undeniable, not because of aggression, but because your actions were guided by intelligence, ethical clarity, and deliberate insight. You act with precision, not impulse. This alignment ensures that your triumph is absolute and unassailable. Integrity completes the circle of mastery. Awareness, patience, observation, and the recognition of consequences all contribute to strategic advantage, and integrity ties them together. It ensures that your actions are coherent, consistent, and aligned with your deeper understanding of self and circumstance. You walk forward not only victorious, but empowered, aware, and unstoppable. You have mastered all 5 core pillars of quiet power: awareness, patience, observation, consequence, and integrity. Now that you understand the full framework, let's operationalize this mindset.